Good evening, Seawall Gals. Welcome to our first ever virtual Gamble Night Out. Welcome for coming out to see us tonight. We miss you and can't wait to see you again so we can get those high fives and hugs. What we're going to do tonight is introduce you to some of our team. Although we have over 200 sworn and non-sworn people who make this place run every day, help reduce crime and get calls for service. To my left, I have my assistant chief, Doug Ballard, who's a BOI and thinks he knows what he's doing on this island. But he's my right-hand man and does a wonderful job keeping things going in control. Captain Coward, he's over our support services bureau. If you got a problem with a 911 dispatcher or a non-emergency call or something to that effect, that's the man to call. But anything administrative, go with him. To my right, we have Lieutenant Destin Sims, who's over community services, veterans, special operations, street crimes, things of that sort. You may know him back from the sergeant days when he was a community service sergeant. He's had a couple of transfers, promotions since then, so now he's back to help lead the organization in special tech ops. Next to him, we have Officer Coronado. We have known him from days downtown, and he's now moved over to spec ops to help community services island-wide, as well as working on our nuisance issues across the island, including Seawall. And then we have Officer Palmer. He's most recently assigned to the Seawall patrol duties, and now he translated his skills back to spec ops. Island issues, including Seawall as well. First, I want to talk a little bit about the crime across the island, and then we'll focus on what's going on in your area, the Seawall. Across the island, for September versus August, overall crime is down 15.5%. Made some great headway in August after having a few spikes. Made some headway in September after having a few spikes in August. Year to date, we've had some challenges primarily with ag assaults. We had a bunch of shootings and other family-related aggravated assaults. So our crime is up in ag assaults. We're working to correct that issue at this time. We're also up about 40% in burglary of motor vehicles, which means we're breaking our cars. The good news for that is about 60% of those cars were locked. When I arrived on this island, probably 80% of those cars were not locked. So we're doing a better job of locking our cars and keeping folks out, but we've got to do better. We should not have cars that are unlocked and allow value from taken from our folks, whether you're a tourist or a resident. Overall, on the Seawall, your biggest issue, obviously, is traffic. With COVID and no places to go across the country, we obviously had a lot of guests here. Each day, specifically assigned to the Seawall, we assign 2 officers during the day, 1 officer at night. Their only job is Seawall. We consider the Seawall the entire length is approximately 10 miles in the end. We have a lot of pop-up events this summer. Those pop-up events cause us to change our way we operate on the Seawall. You might have seen some recommendations that came from both GPD, Public Works, and other folks that contributed, where we had specific parking restricted during the weekend when all of these folks were on the island. So you might have seen restricted parking on the north side, some of our heavy traffic areas. You might have seen 103rd at Diamond Beach completely blocked off, then congregating down there and having COVID issues. So we've done a lot of things to help address those issues. We also ordered lights for the entire second half of the summer that were strategically placed along the Seawall to ensure we created lighting for those areas. We'll get to some of that from you in a little bit. Overall, you had about 4,300 calls. We're only talking about from 7/1/20 to 10/1/20. We had about 4,300 calls on the wall, and they run the gamut. But the most popular calls were deaths, assaults, and burglaries of vehicles and other residences. Deaths, we saw a spike in folks stealing vehicles. Some of those may have been tourists, some of them may have not, but folks have taken that opportunity to walk in some of our convenience stores and run out with beer and other items. Burglaries, which we've already talked about, the majority of which were in vehicles, but we also had a few habitations in other locations. And assaults. We had quite a few assaults, but the vast majority appear to be known offender on known plaintiff, which means that they have been family violence, they have been friends fighting, they have been other things. There were instances where it was stranger on stranger, but for the most part, they were known offenders. And that makes it difficult to prevent. People get intoxicated or angry or frustrated or whatever, and these assaults occur. But we gotta do our best to keep those down. But if you see those disturbances and things occurring on the seawall or in your hotels, in your businesses, make sure you call us so we can continue to keep it on. Some of the transit activity. These guys, along with some patrol officers, work almost a month of nights to try to address some of those issues. Folks camping on the beaches and doing those other things that are pure nuisances to our residents here. They made 109 contacts in those 20 plus days they worked. They issued 50 warnings, a bunch of tickets, and arrested about 11 people who just refused to leave or repeat offenders or other issues. We also had a few days, one weekend of August the 15th, I believe, where we went out there in a covert capacity, riding bicycles as a normal tools, etc., and addressing several littering complaints and other nuisance complaints along the wall. One of the other big issues complaints we get along the wall besides speeding, is crossing the seawall. Especially when you look at the west end of the wall, like around 103rd and 89th, and those places where there is no visible crosswalk or other way to cross. So, one, we need folks to be careful crossing from those hotels, etc. Two, we need us to be careful looking out. There's just no traffic lights and other facilities out there. Some of the tips I have for the seawall. One, if you own a business, a condo, or anything down there, hotels, if you have cameras or lighting, or don't have cameras and lighting, please get it. If you do, make sure they're working, make sure they're recording, make sure they're doing those things so that you can help us resolve some of the issues that arise. You get a crime many times, and you'll see we'll put out the PSA video with good suspect descriptions, good video descriptions, and all that in partnership with you. So get us good cameras, get us good lighting. If you have security, make sure they know what those peak times are, and making sure they're looking out for these vehicles that are unarmed or parked and suspicious vehicles of that sort. You need to be careful out there, whether that's traffic, whether that's pedestrian, or whatever that may be. If you're a resident here or a business owner here, we have those busy weekends, use the back roads. Stay off the wall if you can, and use some of our secret pathways to get around the island with Newbury Way so that we can reduce traffic on the seawall, thereby reducing accidents and reducing other issues on the seawall. And finally, like always, we've been saying for a decade, lock, take, and hide. We need you to lock your vehicles at all times, even if you're just running to the store. Take your valuables in the house with you. Get out of your vehicle at night. If you're going somewhere temporarily, a store or other location, hide them so that people don't have easy targets. Car burglars are opportunity. If they see something, they're going to want to take something. So lock it, take it, hide it, and help us reduce these car burglars on the island. Thank you again for joining us for our first virtual night out, and we look forward to seeing you again for the true high five and eating a hot dog and soda pop while we're there.